What is the crack, folks? Welcome along to episode number 79 of the Gym Advisors podcast. I am your host, Andy Collar. And before we kick into today's episode, let me quickly remind you that the gymadvisors.ie is your one-stop shop for fitness, where you can connect with the experts, learn from the experts, and even buy the equipment that you need to smash your goals. Now, with that out of the way, I'm delighted to be joined by Chris Sheridan. Chris, how the hell are you?
Good, man. What's crack? What's happening?
Not much now. I'm looking forward to this chat. We've been, same as a lot of our guests on the podcast, we've been talking back and forth about getting this done. So I'm delighted we finally get around to it, you know?
Yeah, me too. It's kind of strange. You listen to these things and you're never going to be actually on one. You're taking it all in.
Look, man, we've nearly done 100 episodes of these and I'm still not comfortable, so don't be worrying about it whatsoever. Come here, look, I do this with everyone who comes on the podcast. Tell us a little bit about yourself, Chris.
I suppose, a breakdown. 26, I'm from Galway. Kind of did the usual from the country, so played hurling, GA, soccer, all that crack. I didn't really know what I was going to do, say, in college. Well, after working, so I did a sports and rec and GTI. From there, went on, did strength and conditioning down in Tipperary IT. Kind of fell out of the industry, fell out of love with it. Actually, nearly dropped out and got a fourth year, which is a funny story. But got back into it after kind of working different kind of jobs and just kind of found my way back, I suppose. What's for you won't pass you.
That's what they say. And look, it's funny you say that sort of stuff. My story with the industry is doing a health and leisure course. I'm a bit older than you, Chris, but doing a course in health and leisure in Tralee years ago. And for years after that, I kind of fell away from the industry as well. So exactly what you said. Sometimes these things are meant to be, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. And come here. So you played all the field sports growing up. Were you kind of introduced to the gym as part of that, or was this kind of a later thing again?
Not really. I suppose I kind of fell into it. Went to one of those options West things, which all the colleges say in a hotel. And one that I was talking about this course in conditioning, and I was like, that sounds cool. I just put it down in the CAO, and that was kind of it, really.
And then when you went to the course in strength and conditioning, that was the first time you really kind of set foot in the gym properly, or was like, is that how it went?
Pretty much, yeah. I was kind of in on the base floor, So now I'm actually getting comfortable and actually enjoying training. I love coaching, but training myself, it's kind of slowly getting there.
That's really interesting. First of all, it's a massive leap of faith to go into that sort of stuff. And look, we all do these things at a young age. In my opinion, 18 is just way too young to be deciding what you're going to do for the rest of your life, and that sort of thing maybe doesn't even happen anymore. But in terms of so coaching comes first for you rather than the kind of love of fitness for yourself, really.
Yeah. So our course was really practical based. So it was like half theory, half practical. So I really enjoyed the coaching side of training. It wasn't great. I actually didn't train in college at all. I got through a degree.
Do what I say, not what I do is the motto from Chris there as a coach.
Kind of better at practicing what I preach now, though.
Yeah, no, and these things happen as well. I really find that really interesting, just to finding the love for it late, you know. So you came back to it. What made you decide it was going to be for you eventually? Eventually, you're only 26 years of age, but what made it kind of, all right, now I know this is what I want to do?
Yeah, so I suppose so I was in a factory at the time. Mate that was actually down the road from me and was graduated 2 years ahead of me sent me a text about a gym in Gort. Powerhouse did really good stuff as well. So I actually I just threw my CV for the crack, really. I didn't think I was going to get invited in, but I got whittled down to the last two and did about 3 months of internship, and I didn't get the job. Man told me, he was like, you know your stuff, you just haven't got the experience, you need more time on the floor. That was kind of the kick in the teeth, really, that I needed. And after that, then I went out and it was 2 weeks later, I actually applied for a couple of jobs, had 3 interviews 1 week. I got offered one, and actually got offered 2 of them, but I took the one that was closer to home. So I was from there, I've just been on the road since, trying to be best coach I can be.
That is really cool. And look, geez, the more we chat, the more I learned that our stories are very, very similar, because I was in a factory for years as well, and it's grand, it's very comfortable, and it has its pros, it has its cons, but at the end of the day, if you're not the one making the money from all the stuff that you're making, it can get a bit soul destroying, you know.
They bring you in for that was a meeting start here. Look at all the money we're making. Pretty much.
And then still can't afford the raise.
Yeah.
So Chris, one of the things that you do, just as part of your work, is you have a blog, right? And one of the, I don't know if it's the intro or where I saw it, but I pulled this from your blog. And it's my main goal with this blog is to make fitness simple, easy, and cut through all the conflicting bullshit that's out there. And believe me, there's a fuck ton. And let's not forget those charlatans out there trying to make a quick buck. As an old saying goes, you can only sell shit once. That really speaks to me. But what does that mean to you? What's the point of the blog trying to cut through all this nonsense?
Point of the blog is really just going to educate people on like how it's not as difficult as people think. Like, because then people think you need to know this amount of stuff, and you really need this much. And we kind of live in the information age where like, oh, the more complex it is, obviously the more better it is. But like most people, if they just literally did a food diary for 2 weeks, look at the food diary, say, okay, what looks a bit off here? What can I trim up on? What can I change? Even just going to like an 80-20 rule, like 80% of my foods are all unprocessed, unlean, and like having that 20 to 10% I call psychological nutrition, like might be like you don't have to go from having a chipper to not having a chipper. You can go large to medium, regular to Coke Zero, or like, that type of thing. Or even just having 3 meals a day and like snack, getting more fruit and veg in, water, the basics, like, done consistently over time will get you the results. Like,
that's like, I love the idea. Like, our motto on the Gym Advisors is fitness simplified. So the more people we have out there who are preaching that this is doable and it's not this big impossible thing to do to become a bit more healthy, a bit fitter, improve your body, but also improve your mind from it. The more people we have doing that sort of stuff, the better the industry will be, So
yeah, that's the point. Like,
does that kind of sum up your, and these are big words, but your fitness philosophy, like your approach to fitness and training?
Yeah, pretty much. Like, as in, let's just say in fitness you can break the movements down to 6 movements. Like, for those of us who aren't say know the lingo, you could say so you're pushing away from your body, you're pulling into your body, you're pressing above your head, you're pulling into your chest, and then you're going a bit more knee dominant with your squats and a bit more hip dominant with your hinge. And then if you want to break it up even further, you just go single arm or single leg without getting into your splits and fancy lingo, like, and just add 2.5 kilos onto the bar each week if you can. And if you want to, like, say, pick a rep range, let's say if it's 3x12, say pick your weight until you can do all sets of 3x12. You don't move up, like, just keep it simple, like, and work, kind of build it by week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4. I'm not going to say what I have, but I'm just going to call it hell week in my programming, and then like deload, where you drop off and then you build, say, from your week 1, like your new week 1 was your original week 2, like, and you just keep building, drop, build, and drop, like that, like,
I love the idea, and just snuck it in there. Hell week. Tell me a little bit about this. Is that for your clients? Is that for you as your own personal
client / myself? So it's basically just like your biggest week. So it's your highest weight and your highest volume, like, where like you just look at it and you just like, sometimes like I have a coach myself and I just look at it and I'm just like, I hate you, but I know it's going to work. Like,
well, that kind of sums up sums up a good client personal trainer client-personal trainer relationship. You understand why they're putting you through this, but you still hate them for doing it.
Yeah.
So look, I think we kind of summed it up there, but like, I'm going to ask you the question anyway. How would you describe yourself as a coach? And considering how coaching seems to be your first love, I'm really interested to hear how you would describe yourself as a coach.
I suppose, well, definitely not Joe Wicks anyways. It wouldn't be that. Just personality wise, I'd be more quieter. Like, I'm more like, all right, let's go in, let's see what's happening, let's get the move right. And like, really nail down the coaching, because I feel like better coaching leads to better results. Like, a lot of people just throw weight on the bar and they push it up and push it down, like, and they don't feel that lockout, the pause, the slowly easing, the squeezing of whatever muscle you're working, like. And like little things like that, even in a plank, as in, say, your tall plank, where you're like basically tapping into a push-up, or you're ripping the floor apart, really squeezing the abs, squeezing the glutes, like, you can turn that 30 seconds, an easy 30 seconds, into a hard 30 seconds, if you're really honest with the movement as a client and as a coach, like.
And that's an interesting thing. Do you do any online coaching?
I do a small bit of it, yeah. I have about, say, 4 clients. Kind of something transition. But back in the day, I was kind of like, I honestly thought it was like stupid. Not stupid, but like, it's not really coaching. But it is coaching. It's just two very different skill sets. say in-person training and online coaching. Like,
yeah, 100%. And I obviously, like, given what's happened over the past 18 months, everyone has some bit of a transition or some bit of an online presence like that. And it could be as simple as, oh, some of my friends moved away to Australia a few years ago. I never thought I was able to train them, but now my eyes are open because now I can do it. But like, that's what I was going to ask you then. So when someone is online as an online client for you, how do you get that sort of stuff across where the movement is like trying to get down to the nitty gritty of the movement, you know?
yeah, so I get them to once a week, say, a recording of their main moves, and actually, depending on if they're struggling with a move, I'll just get them on a video for 5 minutes. I'll coach them through the movement, ask them how they feel it, where they feel it, and etc. etc. Now that's if they want that, and others just kind of depends on like what they're looking for as well. That's a bit more kind of detailed clients, but some people they just need to get moving, they just need to like tidy up the food a wee bit, like, you know, etc. etc. Like,
It's that there's so many different types of what clients need, and that sort of stuff of just needing to get moving is so a massive part of what I suppose a market that's out there for personal trainers. And I just think we kind of, exactly as you said before, we overcomplicate things a lot, and I think those kind of people are out there for us. But the way you're talking there, Chris, am I right in saying you're not a transformation coach? That's not something you would kind of buy into a lot, or you don't do a lot of?
not that I don't buy into, like, it has its place, like everything has its place in the fitness industry, but I prefer to, like, you do the stuff, like it will come, like, but if I could, like, it's not really a thing yet, but like, say, health coach, well, it is a thing, but more so we focus on the health side aspects, like, I think, like, if you're looking at obesity, like, it is, unfortunately, it is what it is a disease, you have to, like, acknowledge that, but, like, we're not looking to get them from, like, say, a really big to, like, a really small picture, like, we're looking at their, say, health biomarkers, looking at their, like, say, blood glucose. Can we get them back from, say, diabetes 2, diabetes 1, stuff like that, like, stress levels down, can we get their sleep? If they have sleep apnea, can we kind of reduce just some body fat to, like, clear up, say, breathing so they can actually breathe properly at night, like, stuff like that. I know it's not something that I'm qualified in, but, like, as a personal trainer, we're not qualified to do a lot of things, but we have a broad kind of scope of things, really, like, you know yourself, like.
Yeah, but people come to you and that sort of, like, if their main goal isn't, or maybe they initially think it is, but they're like, if their main goal is to go from, I don't know, like a certain size to a smaller size, but that isn't like a fucking Instagram model sort of stuff. Your job really isn't aesthetic. Then it's all the other stuff that comes with it. Like you said, those health markers that you're talking about, you know. So just having that broader approach, like the aesthetic stuff will come when those things, other things, like, are taken care of, you know.
Yeah, falls into place. Kind of like, put this way, I think personal trainers were kind of like waiters in one sense. Someone comes in and go, I want this, and you're like, okay, you want this other thing is nicer, so let's get you, instead of having a steak sandwich, let's get you the steak, where, like, you give them what they want, but you also give them what they need without them realizing it, like.
I can't remember who I talked to before. Was it Jeff Hennigan or someone like that? There's a sneaky side to every single personal trainer that's out there. Every good personal trainer that's
definitely,
out
100%.
Oh, I love it. So look, a new client comes to you, Chris. What can they expect from you? Expect, like, the experience, and I think we've got a good feel for you as a coach, but in terms of the process of how they kind of are introduced to your work, you know?
Yeah, so from, like, suppose day one, well, funnel, like, so my funnel, I suppose, I say funnel, I don't really have one, but how I do things. So they come in, if they get a referral from someone I know, or they just message me. So I will do, say, just text back and forth, get them onto a call, call it a discovery call, that consultation. Where have they been? What have they done before? Where would they like to go? And in the first 2 weeks, you don't actually change too much. We just, like, get them tracking. So I like to do a 2-week food diary and a 2-week tracker, and scale. I use it quite a lot. Now, I think it is a bit demonized in the industry because, unfortunately, the way, like, say, anti-diet culture is, all the other things, like, I don't really buy into that, like. Now, then again, I didn't have a smartphone until I was, like, in college, so I kind of missed all that stuff. I was pretty much oblivious to the past 2 years of my life, like, walking around head in clouds. But so with it's actually, I did a really long blog on, like, 16 different ways to track your food, like, just automatic ways and, say, manual ways. Manual ways are, say, kind of a bit more, you could say, analog, and the automatic are a bit more, say, technology based. Anyways, the idea of the food track, the activity track, and in the, say, scale weight is like we're looking, as probably been mentioned before, you're looking at, say, week to week, not day-to-day fluctuations. And you're looking for it to come down over time or go up over time, depending on if your goal is, say, weight loss or muscle gain. But with the semi-track, you have protein involved in as well. So basically, 2-week diary, see where we are, see where the weight is. Then I don't go to calories that often with clients. I just don't think it's needed straight away, like. But so then we're like, right, what can we sit down in that chat and say, what can we like tidy up in the food? And I asked the question, if you were me, what would you improve? That tends to get a little bit more buy-in than me telling them what to do, like. So they feel they've got ownership over like their action that they're doing for that week. And we stick to that for about 2 weeks, the food diary. And like some people stay on food diaries, some people don't need any more than that. Then like my main thing is, can we increase water? Can we get a protein source in at each meal? Just because, it keeps you fuller for longer. It's a higher thermic effect feed. For people who don't know what that means, it just costs more energy to burn calorie wise, like. And then can we see where you are if you got, say, 7,000 steps on your first week, can we get that to 7,500 the next week? And we just kind of build it up. And then like once that's easy, we take a look at the train. And then so the train, and I get them to do a video of the squat. So their squat pattern, the hinge pattern, press above their head. If they have a gym, like a lat pull down or just a pull in towards the face, just see what their movement is like.
That all sounds very detailed. I love the very, not slow start, but the kind of taking the time at the beginning to figure out where they need to go and kind of introducing them slowly to what you need them to do. One thing you mentioned though that is really interesting to me is that the scales being demonized. It's we've talked about the scales on this podcast before, and we've kind of said that they have their use, but it's more as part of a larger measurement pack. So like progress photos, the scale, as you said, steps, things like that, different types of leads and all that sort of stuff, or different types of measures. But talk to me a little bit about you thinking that the scale is demonized. Why is it demonized, and kind of how do you use it in a positive manner that you think is the way it should be used?
It's just a measure, like it's like your bank account. It just lets you know what the number is. The number can't hurt you unless you let the number hurt you. Like you have an expectation of that number. So in the way it's demonized, like, oh, don't use a scale, and scale is this, but like realistically, it just measures your, say, mass sort, like. It lets you know if things are going in the right direction, it lets you things have gone in the wrong direction. So it's like if I have an overdraft and I keep going into that red, well, something's up here, like. But I also like it's more of I like to use it's more like to catch something, to catch a trend if the trend is peaking up the way, or if the trend is peaking down the way. But I just get them to step in it 3 times a week, and I just the number. Just the number. That's all we're looking for. It's just a data capture. And like along with the scale, I also use like the seven body measurements. Everyone kind of knows those: bicep, chest, abs, etc.
Yeah.
But like I feel like, put it this way, as in we don't like with kids, if the child is afraid of the dark, like we don't say you're going to sleep with the light on forever. We slowly introduce them to like we get a dimmer switch and we like dim the light down. And it's about voluntarily confronting something like that. So you can't just keep going, well, I'm going to avoid this thing because I have a badge. It just makes me feel bad. You can if you want to, like that's your personal choice. But I think it's better to confront these things, because the more you confront it, the less scary it becomes. So it's like, remember at the weekend, well, when we could go out, like you get absolutely smashed. And like you'd be afraid to look at your bank account. And you just like, then it comes like Tuesday, it's like, oh, payday is Thursday, I might as well look at it now. Like, oh, you look at it like, actually wasn't that bad. Like, I think that's the exact same with a client. Like, and actually, a practical example was, I had a client who she kind of went on a 3-week holiday for herself. Now, nothing wrong with that at all, but she told me she's like, I'm kind of afraid to jump on the scale. Lol. I knew she kind of was serious, but kind of wasn't at the same time. But like, she's like, I just jumped on the scale, I only put a pound on. Like, it's not that fucking, sorry, person. It's not that much. It's not that major, like,
There's absolutely no problem with cursing on the podcast. Don't worry, Chris. In terms of the way you're talking there, it's a really, really well put across argument about it. So it's more so, it's just how we approach the scale. It's to having that fear of it and setting the expectations correctly. That, oh shit, that, like, and comparing your number to your number rather than, oh, I heard someone else over there is 8 stone, I should be 8 stone as well, you know.
Yeah.
And is that do you find that as an issue maybe when someone comes to you initially, or is it just you telling them it's just a fucking number?
It's just a number. Like, actually, I've kind of been lucky client wise. I've never really had anyone it's drastically affected them, like, so I can't really speak for those people who have. But like, even if I did have one of those, I would try to get them in, because it's just one measure in a big metric pool, like as you were saying before, like.
Yeah, and that's kind of the important thing as well. Like, whatever measurement you use, as long as you're using it positively. And I suppose my main problem with the scale, or the problems that have been come up on the podcast before, are when it's the same as anything, man. If anything that's used incorrectly, and we blame the thing itself. So we're blaming the scale because people use it once a week, and you might need a shit. You might you might be in the middle of your certain part of your cycle or whatever. So it's kind of on us. It's on us a little bit as well, because we're not using it correctly, you know.
Yeah, I actually have, like, say, a client starter pack they get, and like there's like reasons why the scale will fluctuate, so that's already taken care of before they even start, like. But just once, I don't know if you heard of it now, I can't actually remember the name of the study, but they did a study, say, on, say, the scale. Basically they had two groups. So they a group that, say, used the scale, hopped on it every single morning, and, say, a group that, say, didn't. But like, they found that those that, say, who hopped on it every morning, they did more, say, healthy behaviors, because it kind of serves as a reminder when you get on the morning that I'm on a mission here today. I want to look after my food, and want to be healthy, and want to move towards that goal. Like, it's just helps. It's kind of like just ticking the box off, and helps him remind you that you're on mission today. Let's do this thing. And like, as long as it's part of, say, a wider circle and it's been used correctly, I don't see a problem with it.
That's a really good way of putting it. Particularly the idea of using it as a motivation. And again, look, if you use something wrong, it's not necessarily that thing's fault. You know, it's kind of a bit more about our approach to it. You know, so we talked about the scale. So maybe this question might be a little bit redundant. But apart from demonizing the scales and that kind of area, is there something in the industry that does bug you more so than the rest? Is there something out there that annoys you?
It's kind of going to be a bit controversial, but I don't know if it is not. Well, it'll depend on who listen to it, what type of experience they've had with food and all that. But it's like, disclaimer warning. I was just following kind of nutritionists and all that, and some random kind of one just followed me. And I looked and I was like, oh, I didn't see anything wrong with it for a while. And I said, I help people with eating disorders. Now, it's a massive thing, like, but I don't know, just kind of I hate saying the word content, it's so American, like, but some of, like, say, the information absolutely drives up the wall. But like, some of the information, like, let's just say if I'm a regular person who, like, maybe I only eat once a day, and like, I'm fine with that. Like, I might have a snack, eat once a day, I'm never hungry. I start seeing these posts that saying that, like, if you do a behavior, this could be a sign of an eating disorder. And you see that once, that's fine. But that keeps kind of building back up and up again. And then you're thinking, hold on, maybe I do have an eating disorder. There's a lot of things out there like that. Sometimes being blissfully ignorant is a beautiful thing, like. Depending on what it is, of course.
The man who didn't have a smartphone until 2 years ago, I think, is well capable of saying that. I love that.
Yeah.
Come here, talk to me a little bit more about that then. So look, is it that these people who are putting this sort of content out, they're putting it out there to be seen by everybody, when it not necessarily should be seen by people, but it's targeted at people who have that experience of an eating disorder, and you don't want everyone kind of beginning to think they have that, you know?
There's a niche for everything, like, but things like pass over, and one person might share a thing because it's kind of this whole thing saying, oh, we should be very careful what we say about people and that. But like, don't say this, do this. If you do this, you might have why. But I just think, like, as in, if you're a person that, like, it doesn't bother you, but then suddenly, I don't know, maybe your friends keep sharing it, like, and keep seeing it, and like, the subconscious mind is a weird and beautiful thing. Like, it'll just put something there and it'll keep niggling at you. And then maybe you go onto the page one day and you keep scrolling, you keep reading, you're like, now, obviously they help some people, but I'm like, are they exasperating the problem, making it worse? Like, to push on a pain, to push on a pain point? Because there's two types of sales. Like, I've done a bit of marketing, like, you've got no, like, trust and authority. And there's like sales. Let's just say if you're a small gym, if you're like always pushing, like, basically people feel shit, like, about themselves. And like, you see some gyms, you might see some trainers, some gyms, like, on a Saturday night or a Friday night, like putting out these posts of client results, because that's when people feel low. Like that's when people buy stuff and then they get buyer's remorse and they want a refund. Like, but like if you're say a local gym doing that, you're going to blow through your client base in about 2 years. Like, no one's going to want to come. Like, if you're not getting results, if you're getting results and you do it in a right way, like there's a right way to do everything, there's a wrong way to do things. But I just think it's a bit like I'm going to make people feel like shit and they're going to buy off me and they're going to think I'm great because I created a problem and I also solved it.
Okay. Yeah. So and even in the fitness industry, I know you're talking more about the specific kind of nutrition, eating disorder, but even in the fitness industry, like you said, loads of people use these sorts of tactics to try, like, and this is kind of what we talked about in terms of influencers and people on social media. The people, and I mentioned it in the quote that I had from your blog earlier on. People are there, they're trying to make a quick buck, and they don't mind cycling through because there's so many people out there. But it's just infuriating to see the effect it leaves behind them. They don't care what they left behind them, you know.
Yeah. I just think it's kind of scummy, like, you know. But look, that's people want to run that business model, they're entitled to do that too, like, you know. But it wouldn't be my cup of tea. Like.
No, 100%. Look, this, I suppose I try to do these without going too ad focus or focusing too much on the site itself. But that's the point of the site of the Gym Advisors is to bring together as many good people who are fighting that good fight and not engaging in that sort of kind of tactics, or at least don't like they care about their clients above and beyond just that quick buck, you know, and they're not trying to cycle through the entire population of the world, you know, now that we're online coaches, you know. Chris, before we finish up, is there one piece of advice or piece of knowledge that you want to impart onto the listeners here, either in terms of their own fitness, what's out there for them to use? What would you like to leave them with?
Just start like just go walk and get some more water and try like once a week, maybe actually try cooking food, like, you know, buy a PDF and actually try cook food, because we have clean cut meals, we have Just Eat, we have all those things. Like it's like, I suppose I live in the country, so I can't get Just Eat, like, so I have to go to Aldi, I have to go to Lidl, I have to buy my food, I have to cook, like. But if we could actually get more people like cooking their own meals and being just more aware of, say, portion sizes, like everyone has a PAM, like, you know. Even if you just use precision nutrition's, say portion size, which is really basic, I'll just run through it. Like, so for the ladies, carbs, a cupful, size of your palm. Say lads, if they're bulking, 2 cupfuls. Ladies, say a portion of protein, size of the palm. Your fats, like your oils, your nuts, like size of your finger, like, you know, basic things like that. So I'll tell you, so the last client I had, that I did put a 4.5 picture up, like, she didn't count calories. She literally just still does a food diary, 3 meals, a snack, protein, tries to hit 10,000 steps. Doesn't always do it. Like, that's okay. Like, as long as we're moving, that's more important than anything else. 3 home workouts a week, like drop 5.2 kilos. I don't care about the weight loss. Here's just one fact that I was looking over my notes from Lift the Bar. They're an education for PTs. If you are a PT, get on that, because that made me better so much quicker. But I got steps, no calorie counting, portion control, and I just gave her literally a list of the carbs, proteins, fats, and I was like, just use your palm size and work it from there. Like,
it's so we've had so many episodes in the podcast, and we've had, like, the industry is what it is. It's so massive, but so much of it is just simple. Like just do the basics and stop looking for that quick fucking fix.
Yeah, it's like what was I say? I said to one of the clients in the gym, and I was like, no coach, like, we all have the same formula. It's just like algebra. It's like the 5-step formula: calorie deficit, protein, NEAT, which is basically your steps, water, sleep. Like, we all have the exact same hymn sheet. We're just applying it differently, like, and you're all getting a check-in. Like, every coach does the exact same stuff, but how we apply behavior change to a given person in a given situation, I call it, say, client-specific solutions for client-specific problems. Like, how I apply that to client A to client B is going to be totally different. Like,
it's so true, and that's why people kind of often give out about personal trainers and the kind of more so the industry as a whole. But the more people we have who are doing the individualized stuff, the better. Classes have a place. I think a lot of people kind of disregard them, they have a place in terms of social aspect, in terms of burning energy, all that sort of stuff. But the individualized stuff is where the magic happens, really, in my opinion. Anyway, you know, the stuff where you're getting it's made for you. You know.
Yeah, it's like diet. Put this way, like diet for weight loss, and then gym for shape. Like that's just the way it is. Like
100%. So, Chris, you are also, as everyone knows, you're adding 3 songs to our Spotify playlist. Do you remember them, first of all?
So I have was it Red Hot Chili Peppers, Can't Stop.
Can't stop, addicted to the shindig. Chop top, it says I'm gonna win big. Choose not to life of imitation.
Number 2.
Gorillas Dare.
You've got to press it on you. You just think it, that's what you do, baby.
That is a fucking tune. I was enjoying listening to that earlier on.
Yeah.
And your third one?
Was it Panic at the Disco, High Hopes.
That was another one that just kind of a bit of a blast from the past for me. So tell me this: is there a reason? Is there something that joins them together for having them on during a workout, or is it just these are tunes and they're just playing all the time?
Oh, they're just tunes. Gorillas Dare is that brings me right back to my work placement in college. Like, so I was in strength and conditioning, so I was lucky. I got really lucky. I suppose that was through GTI. I got in with Galway United, and one of the lads like I was looking after, say, music and say the pre-activation like stuff inside before the starting pitch. And one of the lads told me to put on and I just loved it since it always brings me back to there.
That's a big responsibility, playing music before a game for a big group of lads. Like, fair play.
I was training now. I wouldn't before a game now.
Fair enough. Absolutely love those tunes. There'll be a great addition to the Spotify playlist. Just search the Gym Advisors playlist on Spotify. You'll grab it there. Really eclectic mix of songs on there for any workout. You'll really enjoy that. But come here, Chris. You're on the gymadvisors.ie. People can find you on the gymadvisors.ie/Chris Sheridan PT. But you're also on social media and all that sort of stuff. Where can people find you?
On what's called Instagram, I just have just Chris_Sheridan PT. That's I suppose most active one. Facebook is just like a personal profile. I really should get a business ones up and running. I'm so far behind that whole. So as you couldn't say, I'm kind of more coach than I am business, but I'm slowly getting there. Suppose the plan for 2021 is to actually get a business coach. I can figure that stuff out.
But in fairness, I know this is another little plug or whatever, but the point of the Gym Advisor is to find people who are good at coaching, and that's why it's I love the platform. But like, social media is great; it has its place. It can drive a lot of stuff for you, but if you're not using it very effectively, it's just a pain in the hole, in my opinion. You know. But come here, look. You also mentioned the blog. Can you point us in the direction of that as well? Because I've enjoyed it reading it today.
The I suppose best place to get is I've actually got a link on the Instagram on my Instagram bio. So it's just www. So it's like Chris Sheridan PT weebly.com / but it's just down the bottom of my Instagram bio. It's the handiest way to get to it.
Perfect. Link in bio, as they say.
Open bio. Yeah.
You are also an affiliate of the Gym Advisor store. Chris, do you remember your code?
CS10.
What a man. Knocked it out of the park. Chris, this has been an absolute pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thanks for having me, Andy.
That was a lot of crack. Thanks very much, man. To the rest of you, though, as always, hasta la fitness, baby.